Well, for anyone who has little kids, especially little girls, the debut of the live action version of Disney's Mulan is a big deal. Lots of adults like Disney movies too. They're so well done. But there's a problem with Mulan, which is the story of a Chinese warrior princess. The problem is not with the story itself or how it's told, but where it was filmed, and specifically the credits at the end of the movie. Most shocking. As you can see here, the Disney film was filmed in the Xinjiang region of China, which is the Uyghur Muslim region, and it gives special thanks to a variety of Chinese propaganda outlets, including the Public Security Bureau in the city of Turpan, or Tulufan as it's called in China. Well, that's where concentration camps for those same Chinese Uyghur Muslims are located. Why would Disney film there to begin with? And why would it so submissively give praise and thanks to so many Chinese propaganda outlets and to the secret police there? Joining us now to talk about this is our friend Gordon Chang, a senior commentator on the subject, and I must recommend that you follow Gordon every day on Twitter, which I do. He's at Gordon G. Chang on Twitter, and he joins us now via Skype. Gordon, the movie itself is not the story. Disney does a good job. It's the striking and startling bending of the knee to the secret police of China. That's bizarre.
Yeah, this is horrific because, as you point out, these are the same people who run concentration camps. And as a part of China's minority policies toward the Uyghurs and the Kazakhs, it's not just detaining 1.3 million or perhaps as many as 3 million. It's also genocidal policies, institutional slavery, officialized rape. This is horrific. And for Disney to film in that area was wrong in itself, and certainly to thank them publicly just shows complicity with crimes against humanity.
I read an interesting story about this in the Washington Post by Isaac Stonefish, and he reminds us that Disney got offside with China more than 20 years ago when it produced a film that was sympathetic to the Dalai Lama, and that Disney for years tried to personally apologize to the senior leadership of the Communist Party to win its way back into the heart of the Communist Party, just like the NBA has, just like so many corporations have. And he posits that this is Disney's way of saying sorry and thank you, and we'll bend the knee to you and we'll never be disobedient again. It suggests that this flourish of praising the secret police is a purposeful bond with the Chinese Communist Party. I find that convincing. What do you think?
Well, that's certainly a convincing explanation. Now, we don't know Disney's motivation. Only people on the inside of the organization do. But we can see what Disney does. And what Disney does is just wrong. It's offensive to all of the ideals that Americans hold. Now, when you have companies that do business in China, this is going to happen, and it really is up to the White House to establish policies that change the incentives for American companies. Because as long as they can do business in Xinjiang, or what the Uyghurs call East Turkestan, this type of stuff is going to happen.
I've seen Secretary Pompeo, the U.S. Secretary of State, get tougher and tougher with China, including the most recent thing I saw was criticism and denunciation, and I'm not sure if there's actually trade barriers to importing goods made by these slave labor camps. I need to brief myself more on that. But it would be a shot across the bow of all of Hollywood if the Secretary of State or some trade or commerce secretary were to say, if you film a film in Xinjiang that is not, an investigative journalistic piece, that will be treated as if you use slave labor to make masks. I'm just brainstorming here. The thing is, Disney is almost taunting the United States and saying, we've chosen sides here. Not only are we doing business with China, we will do business with the Chinese security apparatus in Xinjiang. And this movie, which we hope to make $1 billion, is a product of that. Imagine if this movie were deemed like, I don't believe in censorship, and I don't want totalitarian control of the American economy, and certainly not the expressive industries like Hollywood. But this is a pretty dramatic flick of the nose to Americans and to Secretary Pompeo by the Disney company. They're basically saying, we're going to do business with the worst people in the worst place, try and stop us.
Yeah, a couple things going on here. So, for instance, even before the Trump administration, the United States had laws against the importation into the U.S. of goods made with forced labor. And what the Trump administration has done is it's actually started to enforce those laws, because previous administrations often did not. Also, the Trump administration has been sanctioning a number of entities in Xinjiang. And I think that a few more sanctions are going to be imposed in the not too distant future on products coming out of Xinjiang. So we're moving in the right direction. We obviously need to move faster. But this is, as you point out, controversial, because we're talking about the products of intellectual property, which always raise First Amendment and other concerns.
That's an excerpt from my daily show, The Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.